Africa in Ghana on the new laws and why. What say you? Let me know in the comments. Just grab a drink and a snack while we watch this one together.
Mr. Speaker, my submission would anchor on 4 legs: traditional, scientific, legal, and religious. Mr. Speaker, Ghana is a culturally rich nation. We have 70 ethnic groups and 80 languages. We have 242 traditional areas that are recognized by the National House of Chiefs. Mr. Speaker, we throw an open challenge to proponents outside of this house, since there's no proponent in this house, of LGBTQ rights, to show us one Ghanaian traditional language or one Ghanaian traditional area that accepts and supports homosexuality. Language is an identifier of an ethnic group. And when you take all the 70 Ghanaian languages, over 70 Ghanaian languages, each one of them has words for things that are natural to the people. Things that are alien, they don't have words for them. They have descriptions for them. So when people say that the white man brought us Christianity, for example, it's incorrect, because when you take our local languages, we have names for the supreme being and names for lesser deities. In Akan, we have Odumankuma Nyankupon, who is the supreme being, who the Hebrews call Yahweh. Or in Ga, we have Atana. So God is not a new construct to our language. But when you take things like computer, which are new things to our language, we call it Abefo Efidie Enchi. It's a description. When you take telephone, we call it Ahuma Trufu or something, a description. And when you take homosexuals, we call them Kojo Besia, Kojo Aoya Ninyama Tise Besia. It is a description, simply because it is alien to our language. And so when it comes to tradition and our culture, these are alien to our culture. Mr. Speaker, in the West, their culture seems to prohibit polygamy and support this. People think it's a cultural thing. It's actually not a cultural thing for the West. It's a financial decision. And let's put it to the Western world, that because of their tax system, that is why they frown on polygamy, not because of culture. Because when you are a single man in the West, you pay a higher tax. Once you get married to your spouse, your household tax reduces your individual tax liability. So then imagine if they allowed one man to have 4 wives. He will pay less tax to their exchequer. It is about money for the West. That is why they have criminalized polygamy. It's not about culture. And so they should not follow money and ask us to accept something that is culturally reprehensible. Mr. Speaker, let me go to the legal part. Our constitution has been dealt with, but when you read the report, those who argue against this bill say that Ghana is a signatory to international rights, conventions and treaties. Very true. But Mr. Speaker, what they fail to do is they think that all of us don't read, but some of us do read. And Mr. Speaker, all the conventions that they have quoted in their memos to the committee, we would establish the fallacy of their positions. Mr. Speaker, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, in Article 17, says this: every individual shall have the right to education. 17.2, every individual may freely take part in the cultural life of his community. But 17.3 says, the promotion and protection of morals and traditional values recognized by the community shall be the duty of the state. This is the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. So it says the promotion of morals and traditional values. So what morals are we talking about? What traditional values are we talking about? This is the convention Ghana has signed up to. And so this bill is in line with that convention. In fact, Article 18 of the same African Charter says, the family shall be the natural unit and basis of society. It shall be protected by the state, which shall take care of its fiscal health and morals. The state shall have the duty to assist the family, which is the custodian of morals and traditional values recognized by the community. So if we say the family, what is the family? Is it a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, or a man and a woman with their children? We have our traditional values. Mr. Speaker, they always make reference to the UN Declaration on Human Rights. The UN Declaration on Human Rights in Article 2, I read, It says everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration without distinction of any kind. And these are the distinctions it makes: race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth or other status. Mr. Speaker, I want to make it clear in this hallowed chamber that there is a clear distinction between sex and gender. Complete distinction. Sex is a biological construct. Gender is a social construct. Sex is binary, male or female. It is the source code for even computer science, 0 and 1. To be a male, you have the XY chromosome. To be a female, you have the XX chromosome. There is no other combination known to science. However, gender is a social construct. That is why in some countries, as we speak today, they have 48 gender identities. In some, they have 100. So gender is a social construct. In this country, our social construct of gender is male and female, as our constitution demands and recognizes. So, Mr. Speaker, even the UN Declaration on Human Rights does not make gender the basis for discrimination or enjoyment of rights. It says sex. And once it is sex, it is male and female. So if you change your sex as assigned at birth, cosmetically or surgically, you are flouting the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, in Article 18.3, again another international convention they quote, it says the freedom to manifest one's religion or beliefs may be subject only to such limitations as are prescribed by law and are necessary to protect, here is the cause, public safety, public order, public health, or morals or the fundamental rights and freedoms of others. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the Ghana AIDS Commission's own data, men having sex with men are a prevalent cause of the increase in HIV/AIDS in our country. So we have a duty to protect public morals and a duty to protect public health, because the consequence of an increasing HIV prevalence is on the taxpayer. Mr. Speaker, even when you go to the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control in the US, the statistics are clear that persons who are heterosexuals, the effect on their mental health, heterosexuals are 2.3% likely to contemplate suicide. Gays and lesbians are twice that, 4.6%. Bisexuals are almost 3 times that, 7.4%. As for transgenders, 30.8%. Mr. Speaker, the fact is clear. And Honorable Muntaka, in his submission, the Honorable Member for Asawasi, referred to homosexuality as madness. Mr. Speaker, he was speaking science, because until 1974, it was only 1974 that the American